This video is sponsored by Audible. For a 30-day free trial plus 1 audiobook and 2 Audible originals, visit audible.com/browntable or text Browntable to 500-500. I love the Arrowverse. So much so that I even made a video a while ago about how it's better than the DCEU. I'm unsure about the quality of the video at this point as it was a while ago, but I still somewhat agree with that statement. CW shows, as goofy, dumb, and cliche as they are, still feel like they are character-driven stories, and the show will do their best to make you care about these characters and make it as simple as possible to understand the journeys these characters are going through. Does someone feel insecure? Well, let's go to a hallway and talk about how insecure they feel.
Can I talk to you for a second? Can you give us a minute? Can I talk to you privately for a minute? Can I talk to you in private?
So at a certain point, it was Arrow Season 5 and Flash Season 3 maybe, I just dropped the Arrowverse. This was during the time that I was moving for college, so I honestly just couldn't care less about keeping up with these shows. And even worse, Supergirl and Black Lightning and Legends of Tomorrow were now things, and I couldn't care less, so I just stuck with the one character I watched from the start, Arrow. That's the only show I somewhat kept up on and cared about. So to hear that it was ending was a shock, but also a relief, because it meant that there was a possibility to go out with a bang, and now with Oliver fated to die, it could be an extraordinary moment, and it was. For the most part. See, Crisis on Infinite Earths happened, or at least CW's Crisis, and it was actually pretty fun. It was some of the most comic booky, nerd-out content you could ever see, and I loved that. But once you get past that fluff and notice what's actually being told, there's only 2 stories that matter: Barry's story and Oliver's story. So let's go on and talk about what made Crisis great and what also made it fumble. But let's not forget what made this video possible. That's right, today's sponsor, Audible. Start the new year by becoming an intellectual. How do you become an intellectual when you're so busy, say, cooking, or cleaning, or maybe dabbing? Well, you listen to audiobooks with Audible. Audible is a leading provider of premium digital spoken audio information and entertainment on the internet. Join Audible and get a free audiobook credit every month. They have an unbeatable selection of audiobooks to choose from. I'm currently re-listening to Story by Robert McKee, as I'm currently streamlining the script of the final episodes of the anime I'm working on, Interstellar Ranger Commence. And this audiobook really helps me figure out how exactly stories function. Also, Audible Originals are Audible exclusive audiobooks which range from sexy narratives to epic biographies and encompass all tastes. And hey, once you buy an audiobook, it's yours forever. So what are you waiting for? You know the drill. Audible has sponsored this channel a bunch of times, so thank you very much, Audible. Go to audible.com/browntable or text Browntable to 500-500 for 1 free audiobook, 2 free Audible originals, and a 30-day free trial. It's always been Barry and Oliver's dynamic, their constant banter, their ever-expanding legion of heroes, and their stories are what kept the crossovers going. I mean, come on. The Earth X crossover starts with Barry and Oliver not being married and ends with them married to their respective wives. So Crisis shouldn't have been any different. In fact, it should have focused more on 2 things. Oliver is going to die, and Barry Allen is going to die. Barry Allen's death is public knowledge to Team Flash. I don't watch Flash, so sorry for assuming, maybe I'm wrong, but nobody other than Team Flash knows Flash is gonna die, and nobody other than Team Arrow knows Green Arrow is going to die. I believe Oliver's death should have been played more for dramatic irony. Dramatic irony is a literary term used to describe when the audience knows something that the characters in the story don't. Why Oliver's death should have been played for dramatic irony and not Barry's is because we know, at least as the audience, that Barry is not going to die. Oliver is. Even though maybe the cast believes Flash might die, we know Flash won't die. And that means that the audience can't be tricked into thinking that the Flash is going to die because we already know behind the scenes Oliver has sacrificed his life to make sure that Flash and Supergirl don't die. In Crisis, the massive storytelling advantage that, again, Oliver could die at any second was butchered because he died in the first fucking fight. There was the storytelling potential that Oliver could have almost died, and the death could have been a fake out, and the story could have constantly thrown red herrings and misguided the audience until we actually experience his death. Oliver dying twice, in general, is kind of dumb, because if he didn't die the first time, you already know he'll die the second time around, and the impact is even less severe. Barry Allen, on the other hand, is having story issues as well. He's seen in his season that he dies in Crisis, that he'll run and disintegrate or whatever, but it never really drives the story at all. The only time this fact is discussed with a character is when he talks to Iris, and it's so played out. Like, I get it, you love each other. Just, can we not? So Barry Allen does nothing other than hold Iris for like the first 2 episodes, and it's really weird. But either way, not to sound like a Green Arrow shill, but the crossovers always feel like they're Oliver's story. This time, Oliver is dead for 2 whole episodes, and in these 2 episodes, which are the bulk of the Crisis storyline, we're stuck with following Kate Kane and Supergirl, who is a good lead, but we hit that problem of I just don't care. The multiverse is dying, but I feel like we should be constantly seeing this and not just being told this. That's why the first episode kind of works, because you see the planet dying, and then later you don't see it until the 3rd episode, I'm pretty sure. We need to get these Paragons right now. It doesn't feel like an actual threat that the team has to overcome because they find them with such ease. The only Paragon story that was actually great was the Batman one, because the Batman of that Earth turned into a killer and had turned into a complete cynic, a monster essentially, and that was a good story, but it never really served any purpose to the Crisis story, mostly because things that happen in Crisis won't actually matter in Crisis, they'll matter in the latter half of the show's seasons, and that's kinda dumb. Brandon Routh is perfect as Superman though. Let me be clear, the dude is perfect. If Henry Cavill's out, this guy is Superman again, please. The only thing though is that, again, when I said that the Batman story was the only good story, it's because, you know, Superman appears, Brandon Routh's Superman, and then he just goes evil and we have this terrible CG fight, and it just feels super cringe. But still though, even though the writing isn't amazing, again, this is the CW, the actors embody the characters to a T. Stephen Amell is the CW's Green Arrow, he made that character his own. Grant Gustin is the CW's Flash, he made that character his own.
There were a few times where I was running so fast, things were standing still.
Flash time.
What?
That's just what I call it.
And when you follow these characters, you do care what happens to them. I just think that what happens to them isn't very well executed for the most part. Case in point, Barry Allen from the 90s show dies. Okay, I don't really care. I mean, I do, but it's so obvious what's gonna happen that it almost feels comical. Also, Barry thinking to himself that he's gonna die here in this really small room with a treadmill is one of the weirdest climaxes ever.
It's time for Flash to vanish in Crisis.
And Black Lightning comes out of nowhere, which is also comical.
Who are you?
Send me back to Freeland, now!
Your Earth has just been destroyed by way of antimatter.
And I mean, without thinking, it's cool, but thinking about it, it's like, this is really weirdly paced and does not feel like a climax at all. So this is where the Flash is gonna die, really. But then again, you remember that he can't die because Oliver's meant to die and there's no tension, and then the 90s Flash dies, it's really weird. So Oliver dying to save Barry and Kara is already botched in 2 ways. Barry isn't going to die at all, so there's no tension in any of his scenes, and Oliver already died, so they can't use that to write tension. It's like shooting yourself in your own foot twice. But let's talk about that good shit. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Episode 4. Episode 4 of Crisis is easily the best episode. It's what Crisis should have been from the beginning. It feels like it has stakes, the characters are all suffering except Supergirl, Lex, the guy with the fake beard. Barry Allen can't access the Speed Force and needs it to save everyone. But if he does access it, it'll be a strange journey that'll be hard to navigate. Oliver Queen has the power to access the Speed Force and is now tasked with essentially being the one to destroy the Anti-Monitor and restoring the universe. Shit's gonna go down, and you actually feel that.
Wait, what happens if they fall out?
We'll be consumed by antimatter. You need to get to each of us.
The episode instantly makes you care a lot more because it doesn't shove comedy down your throat, and it even films the episode like an actual movie, almost to symbolize, yes, most of the budget went into this episode, so please care about it. Seeing shots like this, and this in a CW show almost makes me believe that this could become the norm, but it obviously won't be. This episode had Glenn Winter as the director. He's done Smallville episodes, Good Arrow episodes, The Flash pilot, and the first episode of Doom Patrol, so the difference in direction is actually crazy obvious. The episode also goes over the past struggles and accomplishments of its characters, and it has the most important exchange in the entire crossover.
Because you're a liar.
Dying's the easy part. The dead are at peace. The real heroes are the ones who have to keep going.
While it is dumbed down by the Lex Luthor subplot, who is amazingly played, by the way, by John Cryer, we finally get to the climax, which contains the greatest scene in the entire Arrowverse. This made me genuinely stand and start clapping.
You have failed this universe.
Seeing Oliver finally reach the end that's been destined for him for like a year was great. And he had a great line. Scratch that, 2 great lines.
You remember what I told you? Dying is the easy part. I'm at peace.
And he essentially resets the universe. He's like DC's Iron Man. So as you can already tell, I'm a huge Arrow fan. Arrow got me into the Green Arrow from the comics a lot more, and I now played Red Dead Redemption 2 exclusively with a bow at all times. So going into episode 5, I expected a good aftermath to the fight, and not the fight itself. Episode 5 is one of the cringiest things I have ever seen. Now let me just say, this is awesome. This is perfect, this is adorable, I love it, I wish I could replay it over and over again. Now, let's get back to it. Supergirl and Flash realize they're on the same Earth now, while everyone else is mourning the loss of Oliver. This is great so far, it's solid. Now, the city is under attack by, wait for it, Bebo. Now, I know this is supposed to be a ridiculous thing, because haha, it's Legends and the show is ridiculous, but after episode 4, really? Probably the most serious episode in any crossover ever. And right after, we're hit with this.
Smile, people!
Hey! Hey, Kate's here too. That's.
It is finally time to claim his reward!
Phew. Thank you, Ollie.
Yeah, the monsters are back. So the monsters that went to attack the heroes during Crisis are back. And guess what? So is the Anti-Monitor.
What do you want to say? Where you been? You're dead.
It's like if Tony Stark sacrificed himself. Then after his funeral, everyone partied. And then they had to fight Thanos again. So not only does that ruin the climax and make half of the emotional impact of Oliver's death now null and void, but the fight itself. And shrinking the Anti-Monitor also defeats the monsters, and that makes zero sense, as destroying the Anti-Monitor and thus destroying the monsters makes way more sense. And now we get to the dumbest part of the episode, and that's the Oliver tribute. And look, I love Oliver Queen as much as the next guy, but half of the episode is basically people saying, Oliver died for this is for Oliver, or something along those lines. What sucks is that most of the time it's very spread out and scenes repeat over and over. The only scene to me where characters talk about Oliver that really makes you feel shit is the scene where Sarah and Barry talk about him, and how Sarah's one tie to her old life is gone. That was genuinely really well done, and Diggle talking about how he missed Oliver's deaths is a fine runner-up. So I think Crisis really flexed Oliver as probably the greatest Arrowverse character, but also botched the delivery a bit, but oh well, I still enjoyed it. I have honestly erased episode 5 from my mind and just think the first quarter and final quarter are the episode. Just honestly, Bebo who? Anti-Monitor's back? No. Spectre Oliver killed him. What do you mean? So all in all, I think Crisis was fine. Then turned pretty damn great for CW standards by episode 4, and then messed it all up in episode 5. It's a shame, but oh well. Can't wait for the next crossover. Oh wait, my boy Oliver Queen won't be a part of it. Yeah, I'm not gonna watch it. How's it going, Chads? Thanks so much for watching this video. I love y'all a lot. And if you're new to the channel, well, thank you very much for watching the video. If you subscribe, you will become a Chad and you will become a part of the Chad Nation. What we Chads are just very epic people trying to be better. That's pretty much it. Also, thank you very much, patrons. I know I have been very, very quiet this month, so I really appreciate your support. It's been tough because college came out of nowhere and really bit me in the ass, so it was very surprising, but I really do thank you for sticking with me. Thank you all for watching this video. Thank you all for coming to the table, and I'll see you all next time.